we we often get caught up in various different movements of supremacy, and I'll even say it, YT supremacy at this point. And what I submit to the culture is white supremacy has been far removed, and at this point, we've begun to teach each other, called under the guise of tradition, what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to act. That's why I'm a non-traditionalist. So I don't care about a traditional stance in various different fashions. What I do care about is the makeup and character of a person, as well as setting my own traditions and being a trailblazer to be who I am, right? So a lot of things that you will experience in life, they will begin to fall by the wayside. They really will. As you grow older, the amount of a woman's body count for men, a woman's body count won't matter as much as you get older, especially if you're single. Because if you're 42
I think that
and you meet a
develops
woman,
emotional intelligence, though.
yeah, and that's also a part of it, right?
Like,
Absolutely. But as you grow older, and like at my age, 42, I have very small chances of meeting a woman who does not have children. So if I know a woman has children, and excuse the crude language, but I know that she been fucking, and she did it before me. You know what I mean?
What?
And that's just the honest truth. So her body count at this point, at the age of 42, a woman's body count, me and having 4 children by one woman and her having kids by a man or two, it doesn't matter. What does matter, however, is the movement of how I have to interact with the kid's parent, the other parent, right? If the woman has a ex-husband or ex-man that is an asshole, well, I'm far removed from that situation because I ain't got that, and I ain't got to deal with it, and I know it. I'm financially stable. She's financially stable, and I can make a decision right here, right now, and I ain't got to deal with it. So as you go along in life, if you decide to continue to date and you have multiple partners, men or women, and you have sex and it's a quote unquote mistake, remember that your kids today are the actual face of the mistakes of yesterday. If you want to call it a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It's a daily situation.
Regardless of the
And you're
situation,
not.
any moms are calling their kids mistakes.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Zria?
Sorry. Don't say my name.
Zaria.
No, man.
Just call it Z, bro. Just call it Z.
Zaria. I'm sorry, Zaria. What'd you say?
I was saying, regardless of, I don't think women will call their children mistakes, regardless if they got 5 baby daddies or not. I'm just saying.
They
I
won't call their
agree.
children mistakes, but they'll call the situation a mistake, which is bullshit. Regardless of if you're drunk
Well, here's the
or if
thing,
you're
like,
sober.
people,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
I mean, a lot of people, whether they're married or not, like, oftentimes people conceive not when they expect to. Now, we can all interpret that, whether that be a mistake or, like, whatever else, but, like, it's very solemn you find a mother who calls their child that they gave birth to a mistake because they carried them for not only 9 months and put their life at risk to give birth to them, but they also have an insane connection with that being. So, like, I don't really see mothers calling their children mistakes. If I'm mistaken, that's correct me, but I
And
really seldom
so
see
so
that.
the difference is what men hear versus what women say, and that's the honest truth.
So, real quick,
Because what women will say is the man was a
this is
mistake, but I have a child.
I think
So
Jared
the
wants
the
to add to this
translation?
combo as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
all right. Sorry, I wanted to talk about that. Stay home mom thing. Yeah. So, I think a lot of times
Where are you
with
from, ma'am?
dating and relationships, the reason that where am I from?
Yeah.
Like Like, where do I live?
Like, where are you from? Yeah, where are you from?
Okay, I'm from South Africa. I've lived in
Oh, okay,
Essex,
cool.
Jamaica, and now I live in the US.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I think the reason a lot of people struggle with relationships is because people aren't staying in their financial lane. With the stay-at-home mom topic, yeah, if it's not in your financial means to be a stay-at-home mom, just allow it out. Allow it out. There are people who have the financial means to be to have a woman stay at home and to be a stay-at-home mom. So what happens is men who are like hustlers and grinders are trying to date women who are in a different financial lane or was raised different. And that's where all these issues is coming from. Like everybody's like, oh, but she doing this. There's a woman who has your mindset. Stay there. Stop trying to jump up in lanes of finance. I feel like that's where the issue lies.
Yeah.
So what happened with me is I was working before and we got married. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but you know, you get your degree and whatever and you start working. And my husband said he wanted me to stay home, raise the kids. So I said, all right, once you can afford to keep me at home, I'll stay at home. Does that make sense? And so he made my and his. And so that was afford to keep me home without constraints of like, oh, you do hair, what you do hair, you know what I mean? Like all that little financial abuse and stuff. That's
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
unnecessary when you have somebody in your financial lane.
No, that makes so much sense. So, like, honestly, don't you think? Like, honestly, like it's hard to marry into money because of like a similar scenario, and I think the same goes vice versa. And I think that you have to be realistic with yourself, which is what I was talking about before. Like, you have to have that conversation about finances, like before you get married.
Yeah. So this touches back to a conversation that was happening with
And I feel like
Zaria
a lot of people aren't staying
earlier.
in their lane financially. So that's why there's this whole issue about like, oh, a step parent and a whatever. If you dated a person in your tax bracket, you wouldn't have them problems. You have problems within your tax bracket and you stay there.
Okay,
That's
but
what I mean. And once you're jumping tax brackets at that point, then yeah, now it's getting different.
What do you mean by
okay,
that?
but the thing is, like, you can marry outside your tax bracket. That's fine. But like, you have to have the discussion beforehand, right? Like, there's a lot of scenarios we've seen, like just with celebrities alone, where they've married beyond the tax bracket, right? And like one example would be like Diana, right? Like from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or whatever. She married way outside her tax bracket. That's fine, so long as you're aware of like the financial situation y'all are in and like what you can spend, how it's spent, and what the division is within the household. That's cool. But the conversation is what's important, not necessarily the tax bracket itself. Because a lot of people marry people outside the tax bracket. Like, I make good money. The guy I'm seeing right now does frankly pay more tax than me. That's not an issue for us. We like discuss that, like, but that doesn't
So
make
for
difference. Like,
gentlemen who
the age difference really is a determining factor.
for gentlemen
Sorry, go
who
ahead.
are looking to get married, I highly advise, especially if you are going to have the conversation later on in life about having a stay-at-home mother, you all have an honest conversation about having a prenup. And that might actually change the discussion about somebody being a stay-at-home mother. Unfortunately.
Just to cut you in the J Glass, prenups actually works better for women than for men because in prenups you can put clauses in like when we leave for infidelity and things like that. So when it's not a threat. when you come into a woman with a prenup. It's like threatening her with a good time. You know what I mean? An
Sure,
educated woman
but it's
only
also
wins.
not fair.
Yeah,
It's also not fair for the man during divorce. So,
Okay,
on the
but
front
wait,
end, it might
no.
not be
When you do a
fair or look
prenup, you
fair or
have
sound fair
individual
to the
lawyers.
woman, but on the back end, if a man doesn't protect himself, and if you're not doing this for love, at that point, the man suffers the brunt of the divorce, not just financially,
Okay,
but
I've got
also
to be honest
generally
though. Unless
speaking
you,
when it comes to
I got to be
children.
honest. I got to be honest though. Unless you earn a certain amount of money or have a certain net worth, it's really not worth getting a fucking prenup because you'll pay so much
false.
money in lawyer fees
Yeah,
That's false. That's
that like
absolutely
you won't even
false.
be able
No,
to afford the
no,
pet.
that's
It's
false.
absolutely false.
Wait.
That's absolutely
No.
false.
Okay,
false.
pause. Let me finish. Let me finish. Thank you. Also, my mom's a family lawyer, so she's done hella prenups, but like that's okay. But on top of that, the clauses you're supposed to have ideally 2 separate lawyers for the man and the woman during a prenup, and you have to disclose every asset you have. You also get to choose certain clauses within said prenup, like. So if you don't want it to be a certain way, you don't have to have it that way. Like it doesn't have to be better for one person. Like you can decide for everything to be equal, etc. Like it can be
You
how you
can.
want, but like at the same time, prenups just add so much time, in my opinion. For me personally,
I
like
feel like,
when I say till death do
especially
we part,
in this,
I mean that. Like, if I was to say till death do we part, I would mean that wholeheartedly. That's why I'm so like anxious about
and
ever
that's
getting
okay,
married.
friend. That's okay. It's all right for you
I
to
mean, I
mean
know
it,
it's okay.
and you know that's your intention, and that's what you want to do and whatever. But life happens. People that
I'm
got
aware.
divorced didn't get into the marriage to get divorced. You understand?
Absolutely.
So you have to be realistic. It's okay to be like, yeah, I'm committed, and my commitment, is till death do us part. But life happens, and so many dynamics change. So a prenup, for me, I feel like every couple, especially in this generation, just get a prenup. It's okay. There's no,
Yes.
there's like you said, there's ways to structure it that it will be beneficial for both parties. But get a prenup. Get a prenup.
Someone in the comments actually brought up a really good topic that I talked to a lot of people about, but it's about the paternity test argument. Like in a relationship or in a marriage, a lot of women are like they get offended when men get paternity tests on the kids. Thoughts?
No, 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it. They
I
just got to be
think
upset.
Yeah. Why would I?
That's
I
Why
honest
would I
think that
truth.
if
want
you
to
are
verify that's
married,
mine?
if you're married though, like why? I mean, there has to be an underlying issue to get a
Because people
test.
fuck up.
That said, I
Because
don't think
people
it's
fuck up.
necessarily wrong.
This is
But
how
that
my dad
Well,
said,
and,
So basically, my
but
dad's been
also,
married to my stepmom, and he
I've got
had
to be honest,
both of
like,
my brothers under me. And he
Nigga said,
explained it
yeah.
like it would hurt more to be somebody that took care of a kid for the majority of their life and to find out it wasn't your child than to know right in the very beginning and be able to cut those ties early on. Like, I feel like it's fair to a man. I wouldn't
yeah.
be offended, especially if you know that you weren't doing anything wrong. Like, hey, it should come back with the right results. You know what I mean? But I know some women get offended because they're like, why would you think I was messing around? But like in that case that somebody was being sneaky, you would catch it early on. So a man wouldn't like stick
Yes.
around for all this time raising a kid that wasn't theirs. And I actually had a situation like that in my childhood with a family member where one of my uncles like literally raised a kid and then they didn't find out till he did like 23andMe at like 40 years old that was not his kid. And he raised him his whole life. It doesn't
Yeah.
change the situation
Be-
now, but like it definitely could have changed the situation then.
because let's be honest. The truth of it
damn,
is,
that's
and here's
deep.
the partial
23.
statement. Here's the partial statement. Men lie, but the continuation of that statement is women lie too. And regardless of what the motivation is, women lie too. So there have been so many different cases, so many various cases of women lying, saying that a man is the father of a child just for that man to find out later on that that's not his seed. And you've established a connection and a relationship with this child that's not yours. So,
Yeah, and she
you
was on the
know,
other flip. Like I feel like anybody would just want that clarification.
yeah. DNA tests are okay.
I think
And
in part,
if a man is faced with a woman who is adamantly against getting a DNA test, I would highly recommend you get that goddamn DNA test.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do think though. I think in part as well, it also depends on when you get it, right? Like in the sense that if it's whilst they're pregnant and it can cause an effect on the fetus, like maybe hold off until it's born. Don't either risk it life. But I also think if you think you have to do one, low key, just this might be my perspective. If you are contemplating doing one, I think trust is key to a marriage. And I say marriage solely because in my family at least, like marriage has always come before birth. That's already an issue. So like maybe yeah, you should get it done. But I think you should trust who you marry, if that makes sense. Like
So,
I don't know.
friend,
So
real quick,
I
do you
think
feel like within a
I'm
marriage
sorry, go ahead.
situation, do you think within a marriage situation, you and your partner should be getting tested for, different STDs or whatever, or do you think we should just trust each other? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think when you go to the doctor, I don't think a pee test is difficult. You usually have to pee anyway, and that tests for most. So it wouldn't hurt to get it done, but you should expect the result to be nothing.
I think as long
Noble,
as you're
Right,
having,
that's your expectation.
Noble,
I
I
think as
apologize
long
for
as
That's your
you're
speaking over you, but you
expectation,
know.
but doing the actual test is
you
necessary,
should
no?
get tested, even if it's your own, even if it's your like your
Um,
own your girlfriend or your spouse. I think you should get tested.
Absolutely.
would I put
Yes.
Yeah,
if
Yes.
I was
I
a
think it's a healthy part of
spouse?
a relationship.
If I was a spouse instead
I
of
do
a
too.
girlfriend, I'm not sure what my reaction would be, but I think I would still do the pee test at least, because of the way that bacteria interacts with one another, but I wouldn't expect anything to result from it.
But I
Sure.
think even I mean even if you are using protection, you should as long as someone's actively having sex, they should be getting tested.
I said as a spouse,
Always.
though, not.
Always.
I said as a
Even a
spouse,
spouse,
not a
friend,
People
even a
girlfriend.
spouse.
I mean, but like,
people
how
have
Even
the
as
often
a
would you
spouse,
wrong
though,
say if
friend.
you were in a marriage? Like,
people
how often would you say
Even
you
as a
would get
spouse.
No, but what I said
tested?
was
but
I wouldn't
listen,
expect anything to result from it. But as I'm,
Yeah, I understand that, friend. I understand that.
I just humor me for a moment, right? People have a very wrong definition of what trust is. And what people tend to do with the definition of trust is to subject someone and expect someone to act according to what or who you think they are. But you've never
mm-mm.
given cause or understanding to trusting that they're simply human and a fallible human at that. People fuck up
Okay, but
all the
hold on. But
time.
when you get in a relationship, you establish. You're meant to establish those boundaries. Like you should not sleep with someone else. Like that's a very basic boundary. But on
That's
top
a
of that, like
very
there's other things
That's
people put
so
in
true,
place.
friend. But people
that's
lie.
And that's
That's
whether that
true.
be
No,
that's a
marriage,
we're
whether
not
very
that be
lying.
just a
Disney
basic
view.
relationship of boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever else.
That's a
You have to
very
establish
Disney
that at the
Yeah,
view.
beginning.
I
It's a very
in
Disney
an
view of
ideal
It's
world,
not Disney
friend.
relationships.
though,
In an ideal
because
world,
It's
frankly,
Wait,
absolutely
you're
y'all.
right.
not.
it's not a. Wait, did you just suggest that it's
It's
a Disney view to assume that
it's
your
absolutely
lifelong
Disney.
partner is not sleeping with someone
Yes.
else?
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
gonna lie.
It's
Like,
That
how
is
absolutely
often would you
Disney.
ridiculous.
say
In an
you need
ideal
to be
world,
like
It's
friend.
Disney.
In an
tested with your
ideal world,
It's
you're right.
Disney. It's
No, but it's really not.
fictitious.
Okay,
It's
can I
not
just say from
real.
my
It's
perspective?
not
What it is.
Wait,
real.
can I just say, pause, wait. From my perspective, my parents have been married like 30 years. They've had a wonderful marriage. They still are in one. So for me, it's not a Disney perspective because
Yeah, because
God
that's what they
knows
told and
that
sold
if
you.
my dad or my mother would cheat on each other, the second that would happen, like everything would end. Everything would be split.
Yeah,
Fuck that. Like
because
absolutely not.
that's what
They
they
did
told and
wait
sold
until
you
later in
as the
life to get
Friend,
child.
married.
friend, hold on,
No, no,
That's
hold
what they
on.
I'm
told
You
and
don't
very
know
sold
the
like
you
our
as a
dynamics.
family's very
child.
integrated.
You don't know what your
You
parents
don't
You're
know
went
so
the
through
funny
as a
dynamics
because
of
I'm
your
couple.
parents'
literally not.
marriage.
You
No, I'm
absolutely
very
don't know
no,
the
but that's the thing. You don't know
intricacies.
me.
the intimate
You don't know
struggles
me
that they've
though,
had to
and you don't know
go
my
through
family in depth.
as a couple,
But
right?
they
And
never
so
went
what I'm
through a
simply
teething
saying,
struggle. Like there's a basic
You don't know that,
understanding.
you
friend.
don't know
No,
that
I'm fully aware.
personally.
My parents are very
You know the
open, and you
story
don't know my
that they
life.
sold
But on
you.
top of that, it's a very basic comprehension. It's a
You
very
know a
basic
story that they
comprehension.
sold
No,
you.
I wait a
But
minute,
That's
it
why
is.
I
Friend,
call it
friend, you're
basic.
young, you know.
I
Friend,
would
you're
say that
young.
I
Okay,
am
but he
more
You're
keeps
young.
leaning
speaking above
towards like
me. He keeps
I'm more
speaking
leaning.
above me.
Hold
In
on,
marriage,
wait a
the
minute.
assumption is you do not engage with anyone else. No? Like in marriage, that's the purpose. Like you do not engage with anyone else. Am I incorrect in that? Because I don't think I am. In
No,
when
you're
you
not
say your
incorrect with
vows, you
that.
don't say
You're not
Are
yes,
we?
you will
incorrect with
be
Wait,
that
with
in theory,
Brittany.
friend.
Like
wait. I feel like
You're
hold on
not.
1 second. I feel like the lines are like completely blurred because like, are we saying outside of your annual like OBGYN doctor's visit, you're going to go get tested every 3 months and you're married? So that what y'all saying?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
No, no, not like
So
that,
okay,
what is
because
friend.
the argument? I'm
thank
confused.
you
in
for clarifying.
every situation, like in every marriage, I was married before. This is why I can say this, and it's totally anecdotal, but it still rings true, right? I didn't cheat on my ex-wife, and I don't think she cheated on me. However, comma, whenever she went to go get her physical, she got tested. Whenever I went to go get
That's
my
fair.
physical, I got tested. Because life is real. Disney isn't. These stories and this fictitious bullshit that our parents have handed down to us is simply nothing more than that. It's a story. Because we
Exactly.
don't know the intricate struggles that they went through to get to where they are. In an early marriage, you go
Exactly.
through various different struggles with your partner, learning who they are, learning their weaknesses, seeing them as human, and then watching their weaknesses play out. That's what I'm
And just to
saying.
add on that, J
So,
Glass, just to add on that, it's one thing when you're married and it's just two individuals, and then now you factor in children, right? You factor in
yeah,
children into that, bodily changes, personality changes, and then there's financial change. A lot of things happen throughout marriage. So
absolutely.
it's an ideal view that Fran has, but baby, there's a lot of
Wait,
changes to
hold
your
on. I never
mentality you need to
mentioned.
enter.
Okay, but I didn't mention half of the things you mentioned. I said solely specifically, my parents have never strayed from one another, and that's something that they've always raised us with. Like, they're very committed. They love each other. Like, they have an ideal marriage, in my opinion. Like, I think what they have is so beautiful, and I wish everyone could have that. And I'm very lucky to have
And
seen
I
that. That doesn't mean that I
and
haven't
I
seen
appreciate.
alternative scenarios from other people that I've known in my life.
Yeah, and I
But
appreciate
at
your
the same time,
opinion.
I think that when you
And
get
I
No,
married,
so
your
my
ultimate
my
commitment is
comment.
like, if you commit to one person in a marriage in front of God or whomever you believe in or whatever belief you have, like that should be sacred. And ultimately, if you stray from that,
in
like yeah, right,
in
in
an
my opinion,
ideal
divorce is
world,
imminent.
friend, in
we
an
fail to
ideal
keep
world, you're
commitments
right.
to
But we don't live in
ourselves.
that kind of world. We live in a world
We
of
don't.
ever evolving and changing things. And so that's why
Okay,
there's
but
a lot
like
of
ever
step parents,
evolving doesn't have
there's a
to
lot
mean
of
you cheat on your
divorces.
spouse. Like in my opinion, cheating
No,
on
it
your spouse
doesn't.
is the
But a
worst
lot
thing
of the
you can
time
do.
it includes that.
But it's the
And I
worst thing you can do, in
absolutely.
my
And no,
opinion.
and
Like,
I
if you
agree with
commit
you.
to
I'm
someone
not
in front of like whomever you believe in or
I
whatever else,
disagree, but
like that's
I, I
so
disagree.
so messed up. Like, you can divorce for
I
whatever
literally had a
reason.
conversation. I literally had a conversation with my ex, and I told her, if you're acting out in aggression because you made a mistake or you there was a situation and you cheated on me, let's deal with that. Let's go get counseling because I was willing, if that was the case, to work it out, to stay married, right?
Okay,
That's
I
very
feel like
kind
So
that's
of
a
to
you.
specific case. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
and again, like I said, this was
That's
anecdotal,
rare.
right?
Because
But
most people I know would just instantly divorce.
No, but see that
And I feel like it
friend,
also depends on the amount of
friend,
time you've been married too. It
no,
definitely depends
friend,
I
people
because
was
don't
some
even
married for
leave
people
9 years.
relationships. People don't even leave relationships. People are step
That
parents
was
in
a good amount of
relationships. They
time
don't leave.
though. You
Cheating is
passed
not a
the
deal breaker
7
for a
year
lot of people.
I can't even
you
hear
passed like
anybody
that
to be honest.
7 year curse kind of thing.
I'm
All
sorry.
I'm
Like I think
saying,
obviously marriage is an individual experience.
it is.
You know, like
It
everyone's
absolutely is.
marriage will be different, but ultimately, like you're meant to be committed to one another. Obviously, the reason why divorce exists is because we don't necessarily know everything about them. It's hard to, right? Like someone's had a whole life before you met them. And then like you can't necessarily learn that in 6 months, a year, whatever it takes for you to get married. But the hope itself is that you can trust them.
Yeah.
And
And
in an
generally
ideal
speaking,
world, you're right.
people,
You're so right. But
people,
when you get into your relationship, you have to
Wait,
be willing to have that conversation with your husband or your soon to be husband. Those are conversations my husband and I have had. Now, I'm not intending to cheat on him. He's not intending to cheat on me. But it's things that are happening. We can't be oblivious to things that are happening. You understand what I mean? So we both are aware of, what goes on. We're both aware of the changes that have been happening in our lives and how children have changed. Because my second child changed a lot for both of us, and it it's like the dynamics are very different. And now with me being a stay-at-home mom, we moved over to the US. A lot of things change, but the dialogue and the conversation between us needs to be open. But I'm not oblivious to the fact that something like that could happen. You understand what I mean? And I
Yes.
feel like another thing that I talk to like other moms that are in my friend circle, a lot of them felt like, I don't know, they felt away when I said I only started having children when I was ready for the possibility of being a single mom. And that's not to say on my husband's character. It's just something I've seen happen so often. And so I felt like, I'm married and we're buying a house together, we're doing all these things together, but things change so much. And so I didn't have a child. I held off throughout our marriage on having a kid until I felt like, you know what? If I if it happens that I become a single mom, will I be able to look after the kid? And it was a yes. And that's when I felt, and I had that conversation with my husband. Obviously, he didn't take it well because he felt, I was saying he's going to abandon me or whatever. And that's not what I was saying.
Yeah, I
so,
mean,
so,
I like resonate on the second child thing because I was the last child of my family's family. I don't know how to phrase that. I know I changed a lot for them. I know I was a lot to handle because I was very extroverted when I was little, but we moved around a lot too. But yeah, as you said, those conversations are what really is key. And I think that openness is so, so important. That's something I will always seek in a relationship. Like I just started dating someone new. He's fantastic, but the openness is what I love the most. Like the conversations that we can have with one another is so important.
I mean, I feel like it's really just based off your non-negotiables and like what you will and won't accept in a marriage. Because some people probably don't
Yes.
think it's a big deal, and then others is like, it doesn't matter if we 30 years in and you cheat, it's over. So it's really
Right.
like circumstantial.
it is. It
Yeah, that
really
was
is.
put perfectly.
So
100%.
the
For
the
me,
the
cheating is
basic,
a no-go.
and you say that now, but if you get married and you're married for 10, 15 years,
Mm.
I beg to like interject that you would really consider like trying to go to counseling to see where the marriage fell off the rails. And if infidelity is the deal breaker, you should really reconsider marriage. And the reason why is because you could cheat. That's a possibility. He
No,
could
like
cheat. It's
I
a
Wait,
think that
possibility.
that's an intrinsic value within people. So if for
yeah.
you, if
It's
for someone
not.
who
It is
has
not.
the
It is
intrinsic value of
not an
okay,
intrinsic
you listen,
value
let me
within
finish.
people.
Let me
I would
finish.
literally, I would literally
Let me
like break.
You
I
finish.
would,
try.
I would
That is
literally.
such a false narrative.
Fucking
It's such
hell.
a false narrative.
No,
for
but like
me
Shut the fuck
honestly,
up.
personally,
if you have
even
a
in
if
a
you're a
genuine
person that stands
relationship,
on values, you would definitely like I would break up with somebody before I cheated on them, and that's just honest to God truth. Honest to God truth.
right.
In
Right.
10 to
And like
15
if
years
you
after
lean
you get
into your
married.
values, if you truly express the values that you believe, if you truly express the values that you believe to hold, which I do not believe that infidelity is excusable, and I do not believe it is forgivable whatsoever. That's for myself, that's not for other people, right? So if I was to
So
get married and they were to engage in infidelity, that's not negotiable with me. I would be out the door before they
Right.
were even aware I knew
sure.
about the cheating.
And
Like there's
Infidelity
no
is a
negotiable there.
weak
that's
frame of
It's a
mind.
very
hell
You have
no.
no self-discipline.
It's a
You don't have
hell
you don't have a
no.
strong mindset
that's
to be able to
that is so
cheat on
Exactly.
someone.
Like
ideal.
you have no
That's
discipline
so
and
ideal
you
for
have
people to
no
say that
belief in
haven't been married.
yourself. And if you can't commit to your
I'm not
family,
gonna lie.
for me personally, I think if you can't wholeheartedly commit to your family and to your wife and vice versa to your husband, like for me
I,
personally, not for other people necessarily. I know there's different versions of relationships, but for me, what the hell is the point? I would be out the door. I would rather live with my parents for the rest of my life than put up with someone who's willing to go out on me. Like,
I'm gonna be honest,
absolutely
Ren.
not.
I'm
That's
gonna
a
be honest,
personal
and
choice.
I never admitted this until like I got older. I'm 32, so I never admitted this idea until I was like 28 or 29. But the way men view cheating and the way women view cheating is not the same
Okay,
thing.
but like for
So
me,
for
that doesn't negate the fact that it's not acceptable. It
no,
doesn't
no, and that's
negate that
okay.
fact.
No, and that's
I will
okay. I'm
submit
just
this
saying.
to the panel for
I'm just saying that
consideration
that's why the
in your future.
conversation will always kind of go back and forth when it comes
I
to
don't think it
cheating,
will
Well,
because the way
necessarily have to
men
go
view
back
it.
You've
and forth
yes,
already
though,
yes and
because
no.
wait.
Yes and no.
One second. J Glass, you've already admitted that like cheating wasn't a deal breaker for you in your marriage. Therefore, like I feel like in this part of the
Hmm.
conversation, you really are speaking from experience. You went to therapy, you did that. But like I said before, there are certain people, like there was just somebody in the comments. I wish we would bring her up. She literally said she's 43 years old and never cheated a day in her life. There are people out here who
No,
have the self-discipline and the loyalty to not turn their back on their partner or husband.
you
Like,
missed
yes.
a
And like
completely
for
important
my
stance
parents,
that I
like
took
I
with
don't
that
even want to
also.
touch on the fact
Like you
I don't
totally skipped over. You totally skipped over a part that I said also, which is she didn't cheat on me and I didn't cheat on her, right? Because from the onset of our marriage, those were our boundaries. But I would submit this to the panel, right? And understand this. Values change throughout time, just like tradition. There was an article I read a few
mm,
weeks ago, a few weeks ago, a few weeks ago, where a
on
couple
which
was married
platform?
for. No, I didn't read it on the platform. I actually read it in an actual article. So there was a couple that was
Yeah,
married
but like
for 40
on what?
years.
On which journal?
He said skipped over the
Just an
Uh-uh.
article. Like on what platform was the article on?
It was
I don't remember
yeah.
what it came from. That's besides the point. But it was an
Okay.
article that
You
was
remember
put
the story,
out.
just not
That
what it
it
was
was an
on. Okay.
article. It was an article that was put out by a woman, and her husband had been married for like 45 years. 45 years, and all of a sudden she became
So she
asexual.
was like
Right?
80.
She became asexual.
Lol.
She didn't have any interest in sex. So what you should also take in mind is as we grow older,
So she went
our
through
bodies
menopause.
change. As we grow older,
Yeah,
our
no, that's
bodies
called
change,
menopause,
right?
baby.
So stop cutting me off.
Yeah, but
So
that's called
so
menopause. If
some
you're
people
45 years,
continue to have some people continue to have a high
no, we'll
libido or
stop this
libido at
chewing.
all, and some people their
Okay, wait,
libido completely
hold on.
diminishes.
No,
No, I'm not
let's
going
go
to
back
hold on. Give me a
libido.
second. Let me finish what I'm saying,
no,
right? Let me finish what I'm saying, right? So her libido had
it's
become
not
non-existent.
scientifically correct.
So she took out an ad to
Because of
have a helper.
menopause.
But okay, so if
Oh, for
you kind
fuck's
of
sake.
scoffed at me
I'm sorry,
saying
like,
that values change over time, how can you all of a sudden go back and
that's not a
say,
value, that's a
well, it's because of
biological
menopause?
change.
That's a bullshit ass That's a very fictitious narrative at that point. So she took out an ad to
You
hire
think
someone to come
menopause
into
isn't
her
real?
home. She took out an ad
Wait, so you
to
think
have
menopause
someone,
doesn't exist?
another woman come into her home, take care of the house, take care of her husband, and have sex with her husband, but she stayed married to him. She did that. She did that. So if
No,
you're
so
going to
sorry, did
tell
you just
me,
say that menopause was
Wait,
fictitious?
no. Let him finish because I really want to hear where this is going. So you read an
yeah,
article, and the
I
article was
read an
about a
article.
woman who was married to a man. She had no more sexual interests, called it, and you said she called herself asexual. And then she now they hired a woman or just added a woman to their relationship, like
No, no,
polygamy,
no. She
to
she
come
hired
and
a
play
woman.
the
They
role of a
interviewed.
wife.
No, she didn't play the role of a wife. She took care of the house and she took care of the husband. And the husband wasn't okay with it.
Is that not the role of a wife?
But you just
Wait, so
told
I
me
mean,
not too
I
long
feel like
ago that values don't change. You scoffed at me saying that.
Okay,
okay,
but
so I
hormones are
feel
not
like
they're
that's a
not
different
equitable to value.
situation. Wait, but I feel like that's kind
No,
of
we're not
different,
going
Jay
to
Glass,
play
than what
this
we're talking
exceptional
about because
bullshit
I feel like that
rule.
was an
We're
Okay,
not
agreement.
wait,
going to
pause,
play
pause,
that.
pause,
Yeah,
pause, pause.
because that's
yeah.
what y'all are
Pause.
That
trying
was
to
an
If
Okay,
it's
do
an
at this
agreement. That's
agreement
point.
not
within the
cheating.
marriage, that's different.
wait, but
So
hold
what I'm
on. So
saying,
when
but
a woman
still,
reaches a
if
certain
he's
age,
not
and it's
married to the
often genetically
woman and he
determined,
has sex,
y'all.
with someone outside of his wife, it's still infidelity,
Not if you
regardless of the
agree. If it's like
agreement.
No,
Not
wait,
if you
hold on.
polygamy,
consent.
I think that's
Not if you
Regardless of
different.
the
consent.
Because
agreement.
People.
an
People have
agreement is
polygamous
very
relationships all
different.
the time.
An agreement
Exactly.
is
So what I
different.
keep
But
telling
on top
y'all
of that,
is over time,
if they
values
choose to do
change.
that, wait, hold on. Oh my god, that's not a value though. That's a hormonal change, right? So if you genuinely go through menopause, and at that point, the majority of women are not really excited to engage in sex, you all like kind of like engagements with people because of the hormonal change in their body, right? Which is regarded
Hmm.
wholeheartedly as menopause, then perhaps that may have triggered
No,
that
friend.
decision. That's not a value. That's a human change where she was like, oh, maybe I want him to be happy. That's not a value change, right?
No,
That was
friend.
a
So
But
you're
the
decision that
value
actually
they
is
made
this.
together
Hold
expressing
as
on.
a
you're
couple.
actually
Friend.
expressing what I
Hold
led
on.
into this with.
The
Over
value would have
time,
been.
No, but
things
that's not a
begin
The
to
value
value
would have been.
change
change.
because it's still
I
But that's not
swear.
a
infidelity.
value change. That was her personal
It's
decision.
absolutely a value
Like, if I
change
wanted my husband to
because
be
the
happy,
initial movement of
no,
the
but not
marriage
really, because if I wanted,
was these two people are going to be married and committed to each other
if I
and sexual
wanted,
life and
Okay,
everything.
I
wait,
think
wait, wait.
Jay
If
Glass,
I
what
wanted
you're
my husband to be
describing is,
happy,
I think what
go
Jay
ahead,
Glass is
Yeah,
Hannah.
but
describing is more of like
in the
a
beginning of the
polygamous
relationship,
relationship,
friend.
right?
In the beginning of the
And if
relationship,
it's
it was you and him.
What
And
what's
it's
all
been you
what's
and him
all are
all those
experiencing
years.
is called cognitive
And then
dissonance.
you're adding somebody. So that's where
Okay, I
that's
know
where the
what
change is
cognitive
coming in.
dissonance is,
That's what
let's
he's
be
talking about.
honest.
So what I
That's not
think
cognitive
though, what
dissonance.
Fran is trying to talk about, the values Fran is talking about and the ones Jay is talking about is different. Fran is talking about core values. Core values don't change. It's who you like, it's what builds a person's integrity. But
Mm-hmm.
then you get like social values and religious values and everything added on to that. So you guys are talking about two different things. That's why it's not connecting. You understand what I mean? Core values don't change. If you're a person, you're not a thief. It doesn't matter what situation you put in, you're just not going to steal. If you're a person who doesn't cheat, it doesn't matter the situation. So she's talking about core values, Jay. You're talking about kind of social values or religious values or traditional values. And that's something that does change over time. It's like some people would be against having a stay-at-home dad or being a stay-at-home dad. And over time, your wife is making 6 7 figures, it just makes sense for you to stay home. And that's something that has changed. You know what I mean? So that's a different thing.
Sure,
Good.
I can absolutely understand why you say that. Absolutely. So what I'm getting back to is the idea of infidelity happening regardless of whether or not it's agreed upon. People change over time. Things change over time. And that's the thing. Now, if you get married to a guy that begins to immediately cheat, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Like, nah, absolutely not. There's no point in that. The marriage is
So
going to
what?
suffer.
Like,
The
if he
woman is
doesn't
going to
cheat
suffer. And
immediately, he must be an angel.
say again.
Like, I just think that like ultimately, it's a conversation that has to be had. It's very rare that you will find a woman who, once they hit menopause, is suddenly saying, "Hey, I'm asexual. You can have another woman in the room." Like, that's incredibly rare, and it's not like, I hate to say the word normal, but I can't think of an alternative like word to use. It's just not
Sure,
normal. It's not normal. Menopause is
sure.
expected, and it should be expected once you get married to someone.
However,
It's a biological like necessity. Like, you have to expect that.
absolutely. And I don't disagree with that. But what I am saying is, regardless of how rare it is, it still happened. Right?
It can still happen. That
So,
doesn't mean that what happens is correct, right? Like, a lot of things happen that aren't right.
sure. And I don't disagree with that.
I wanted to
So
make. The
to
other
push the
point I wanted
conversation
to make
in a
was,
little bit of a different
um,
direction.
Wait, before
And
we move the
go ahead,
convo,
yeah.
I think it's clear to
I
Absolutely.
like
wanted.
Absolutely.
like clear the line from like where I think majority of like me friend was coming from, which is like the infidelity part where it involves like the lying, the being deceitful, the
Yeah,
sneakiness.
yeah, yeah.
Like that is kind of
Yep.
what I was catering to. Now, what you brought up,
Okay.
that situation, I feel like it may be kind of rare because I've never heard of it, but also because I feel like whatever you communicate with your partner may, I don't really consider infidelity if you all come to a conclusion, but I guess you, like you said, it just kind of blurs the lines depending on how you get married, who you pray to, whatever. But I was specifically speaking to the part of cheating that involves like deceitfulness, lying, sneakiness, whatever.
Yeah. If any man marries a woman that has those characteristics, leave her. If any woman marries a man that has those characteristics, leave her. Right? Because it's not going to work out one way or another. And that's the honest truth.
Yeah, all of that is true. I really wanted to just touch on the Keenan topic just real quick. Noble, have you gotten therapy since you dealt with Keenan's mum? Because it's like Keenan's burning you, bro.